Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Okay, class. So today, we are going to study a new topic. Okay, guys. So we are going to study about reproduction. Okay. So the first one, we are going to study about gametogenesis. Okay, gametogenesis. Okay, so I will brief to you a little bit about what is gametogenesis. Okay, so basically gametogenesis. Okay, they are two example. Okay, the first one is spermatogenesis. Okay, the next one is oogenesis. Okay, so there are two types of gametogenesis, which are spermatogenesis and gamet gam sorry oogenesis. Okay, so for spermatogenesis, it happen in the testis, in testis. Okay, and then for oogenesis, it happen in the ovary. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay. So, what is the importance of gametogenesis? Okay. The function of gametogenesis process is to produce gamete. Okay, is to produce gamete or sex cell. Okay, so specifically, spermatogenesis, the function is to produce sperm. Okay, and then for oogenesis, the function is to produce ovum. Okay, is that clear? Okay, so we go one by one. The first one we go for spermatogenesis. Okay, so this is the cross section of testis. So as you can see here, this is one testis. So the inside of it, it has seminiferous tubule. So yang awak tengok the folding structure here. Okay, so this folding structure is called seminiferous tubule. Okay, so this we have for the male, they have many seminiferous tubule. Why? Because this is the place where the sperm will be produced. Because you know that sperm will be present in million number, right? So that's why we have many seminiferous tubule. Okay, and then once the sperm is produced in seminiferous tubule, it will be taken out, okay, through epididymis. Okay, from epididymis, it will the sperm will be sent to the sperm duct. Okay, and then from sperm duct, it finally exit, okay, through the penis. Okay, so this is the general information about testis. Okay, so now we are going to study in detail. Okay, so this is seminiferous tubule. Okay, as you can see here, this is seminiferous tubule. Inside seminiferous tubule adanya sejenis sel. Okay, this cell is called primordial germ cell. Okay, so ni seminiferous tubule. Dalam ni ada sejenis sel, which is primordial germ cell. Okay, so this primordial germ cell ni, it will undergo cell division, okay, to produce sperm. Okay, and then bear in mind there is also another cell in seminiferous tubule. The name is Sertoli cell. Okay, apa fungsi Sertoli cell? It will provide nutrient. Dia akan membekalkan nutrient kepada untuk buat proses ni lah throughout this process. Okay, and this sperm will be transported from seminiferous tubule to the epididymis and flow out through the sperm duct and finally throughout the penis lah. Okay, so this process, okay, spermatogenesis, involve a few hormone. Okay, so the first hormone you should know is FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and the next one is testosterone. Okay, and then the last hormone is luteinizing hormone. Okay, so these are the three hormone. Okay, is very they are very important, okay, in spermatogenesis. Okay, if we have not three, if we don't have these three hormone, the sperm cannot be produced. Okay, guys, so far so good, right? So now we are going to study in detail how spermatogenesis will occur. So I hope you guys can pay attention. Okay. Okay, this one, as I said, in seminiferous tubule, dekat sini, seminiferous tubule ni adanya sel iaitu primordial germ cell. Okay, so primordial germ cell ni dia adalah diploid. Dia adalah diploid. Sebab apa? Dia adalah 2N. 2N. Okay, tak apa. Jom kita belajar secara detail. So, saya ajar kat sini. Okay, so the first thing you should know that primordial germ cell yang ada dalam seminiferous tubule, it will divide mitotically. Okay, to produce diploid spermatogonium. So yang kat sini dia akan buat mitosis. Okay, primordial germ cell, it will do mitosis repeatedly, secara banyak. Untuk apa? Untuk menghasilkan spermatogonium. Okay, remember this is 2N. This is 2N. What does 2N means? 2N means it is haploid. Haploid itu maksudnya apa, cikgu? Haploid itu maksudnya dalam sel dia ada complete set number of chromosome, which is 46. Human kan 46 ada kromosom kan? So kat sini ada 46 kromosom. Since it undergoes mitosis, okay, so the number of chromosome will be the same. So that's why kat sini 2N, kat sini pun akan jadi 2N. Boleh faham? Okay, what happened next is that spermatogonium, which is diploid, it will grow. Dia akan membesar. Okay, dia akan membesar. Dia akan jadi apa? Dia akan jadi primary spermatocyte, which is still diploid, 2N. So spermatogonium ni dia akan membesar. Okay, dia akan undergo growth to produce primary spermatocyte. Okay, so what happened next is that, okay, primary spermatocyte will undergo meiosis 1. So dia akan undergo meiosis 1 lah. Okay, remember meiosis. Kat sini dia start berlaku meiosis. Kalau atas ni dia buat proses mitosis. Start daripada sini sampailah bawah dia akan buat proses meiosis. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, remember meiosis ni dia ada dua stage, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Okay, so primary spermatocyte, it will undergo meiosis 1. Untuk hasilkan apa? Untuk hasilkan secondary spermatocyte. Okay, yang ni primary, yang ni secondary. Okay, so when primary spermatocyte undergo meiosis 1, it will produce secondary spermatocyte, which is haploid. Which is haploid. Ingat kalau dia berlaku meiosis, mesti dia akan jadi haploid. Why? Because the number of chromosome will be half from the original one. Okay, are we done? Not yet. Okay, what happened next is that secondary spermatocyte, it will undergo another meiosis, which is meiosis 2. Ingat meiosis tak boleh satu saja, dia mesti dua. Meiosis 1, once it done, it will go for meiosis 2. So what happened? Secondary spermatocyte, it will undergo meiosis 2 to produce what? To produce spermatid, which is still haploid, NN kan? Okay, and then what happened? This spermatid will undergo cell differentiation. Cell differentiation to produce what? To produce sperm. And finally, this sperm will be released through the penis and it will swim towards ovary to meet whom? To meet ovum. Okay, can you understand? So this is how spermatogenesis is all about. Okay, can you understand? Okay guys, so let's go for oogenesis. Okay. Okay guys, so let's continue with oogenesis. Okay, so I hope you guys can really pay attention because for me, oogenesis is quite complicated but bearable. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, first thing that you should know is that oogenesis is a process to produce ovum. Okay, to produce ovum. Or there is actually another name for ovum, which is secondary oocyte. Tengok tengok ni, secondary oocyte. So bila cikgu sebut ovum, you should know that ovum has another name. Okay, another name is secondary oocyte. Sebab tu dia cakap sini, oogenesis is a process of secondary oocyte or female gamete production. Female gamete production apa? Ovum lah. So ovum dengan secondary oocyte are the same thing. Boleh? Okay, and this process take place in the ovary. Okay, so awak tengok ni, unlike spermatogenesis, oogenesis will begin in females ovary before they are born. Uniknya kat sini adalah oogenesis ni dia sebenarnya berlaku oogenesis ni berlaku sewaktu baby tu dalam perut mak dia lagi. Tapi kalau spermatogenesis dia berlaku bila when the boy reach puberty. Tapi kalau oogenesis ni dia berlaku before puberty. Okay, specifically when the girl baby in the mother's stomach. Maksudnya di dalam perut mak dia lagi. Dia oogenesis tu berlaku. Okay, so kita tengok satu-satu. Okay, sama juga dia bermula dengan primordial germ cell. Ni awak tengok, this is primordial germ cell. So what will happen is that this primordial germ cell, it will undergo mitosis. Dia akan berlaku mitosis. So bila dia berlaku mitosis, dia akan hasilkan apa? Dia akan hasilkan oogonium. Oogonium. Lepas tu apa jadi? Oogonium ni, it will grow. Dia akan membesar. Okay, so bila dia membesar, dia akan jadi apa? Dia akan jadi sebagai primary oocyte. Primary oocyte. Okay, mula-mula primordial germ cell. Lepas tu dia buat mitosis. Dia akan hasilkan oogonium. Bila oogonium ni dah ada, dia akan grow, membesar. Dia akan jadi apa? Dia akan jadi primary oocyte. And then bear in mind, this is the first stage of oogenesis, which is before birth. Bila dia dalam perut mak dia lah maksudnya. Sebab tu oogenesis berlaku even the baby are not born yet. Okay, boleh faham? So apa lagi dia cakap ni? The growth of follicle, ni satu lagi oogonium develop into primary oocyte. Ni oogonium ni dia akan jadi primary oocyte. Ni primary oocyte ni. Okay. So apa akan jadi ni? Which is encapsulated, okay, with one or more layer of follicular cell forming a primary follicle. Okay. So sekarang ni bila awak tengok, this is what we call primary oocyte. Okay. Primary oocyte ni dia dikelilingi oleh primary follicle. Okay, cikgu ulang. Okay, sekarang ni awak tahu this is primary oocyte, right? Primary oocyte ni dia ada layer kat luar ni. Ni awak tengok bulat ni kan? Ni bulat ni kan? Bulat yang dalam ni, this is primary oocyte. Okay, this primary oocyte is surrounded by a layer called apa? Ni, called as a primary follicle. Okay, cikgu ulang Ni adalah, ni kalau kita besarkan lah. This is primary oocyte. Primary oocyte is surrounded by primary follicle. By primary follicle. Ni primary follicle, dalam dia tu lah ada primary oocyte. Primary oocyte dibesarkan kat sini. Okay. So apa jadi? Ni during infant. Okay, infant and childhood stage. Okay. So apa akan jadi? Awak tengok kat sini. Nombor 3 ni. Ni. Allah kecilnya. Okay, at the birth, a baby girl already has million of primary oocyte that remain dormant in prophase 1, meiosis 2. Okay, the number of oocyte will decrease at puberty. Okay, bila baby tu dilahirkan, maksudnya dalam ovari baby tu ada banyak primary oocyte. Tapi primary oocyte tu dormant. Dormant ni maksudnya adalah they inactive. Dia tidak aktif. Dia tidak aktif in a prophase 1 meiosis 1. Okey. Ni awak tengok ni. Dia memang pening sikit tapi tak apa. Lepas tu awak tengok ni. Okey. So ni sama lagi ni. Okey, kita ada primary oocyte yang mana kat luar primary oocyte tu ada primary follicle. Okey, so maksudnya masa dia budak-budak, okey, so primary follicle tu memang ada. Okey, okey, tapi apa terjadi bila dia hit puberty? Awak tengok ni. When it hit puberty. Ni awak tengok ni. Upon reaching puberty, primary oocyte will continue meiosis 1 to produce secondary oocyte and first polar body. Ni awak tengok ni. Ni. Yang ni adalah primary oocyte. Okay. So yang primary oocyte ni, it will undergo meiosis 1. Okay. Sebab apa meiosis 1 is completed? Sebab kan tadi dia cakap kan primary oocyte ni dia akan stop at prophase 1. Sampai prophase 1 saja. Kan kalau ikutkan meiosis 1 dia ada prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1 and telophase 1. Tapi before dia hit puberty, meiosis 1 tu dia berhenti dekat prophase 1 saja. Dia tak continue untuk metaphase 1. Metaphase 1, anaphase 1 and telophase 1. So bila dia hit puberty, this primary oocyte will complete meiosis 1. So bila primary oocyte ni complete meiosis 1, it will produce two things. Dia akan hasilkan dua benda, iaitu secondary oocyte which is haploid. Sebab apa? Dia berlaku meiosis kan? Bila berlaku meiosis, mestilah dia akan jadi haploid. The number of chromosome will be half. Okey, dia akan hasilkan dua benda iaitu primary oocyte will be secondary oocyte and first polar body. First polar body pun adalah haploid. Okey, boleh faham? Lepas tu awak tengok apa jadi kepada secondary follicle. Kat sini untuk oogenesis ni dia complicated sebab apa? Awak kena cerita pasal oocyte, awak kena cerita juga pasal follicle. Sebab apa? They are growing together. Okay, awak tengok kat sini So at the same time, okay, primary follicle ni bila hit puberty, dia akan develop into secondary follicle. Boleh faham? And then secondary follicle ni dia akan grow again, it become Graafian follicle. Mula-mula primary, lepas tu secondary and the last one is Graafian follicle. Boleh faham? Lepas tu awak tengok secondary oocyte. Ingat secondary oocyte, okay, it will undergo ovulation. Ovulation tu proses yang mana ovum ataupun secondary oocyte will be released. Okay, will be released. Okay, so bila ingat secondary oocyte tak release secondary follicle, dia tak akan release secondary oocyte. Dia kena secondary follicle tu dia kena jadi Graafian follicle dahulu. Bila jadi Graafian follicle tu lah dia akan buat ovulation. Yang mana this Graafian follicle, it will release secondary oocyte during ovulation. Ni, the release of secondary oocyte. Okay, so bila Graafian follicle ni dia keluarkan secondary oocyte, we no longer call them as a Graafian follicle. Instead, we call them as a corpus luteum. We call them as a corpus luteum. So ni awak tengok meiosis 2 meiosis 2 apa akan jadi? Polar body akan mati. Polar body akan mati. Okay, dia tengok information dia. Ni awak tengok ni. Okay, ni cikgu dah bincang dah kan. Upon reaching puberty, the primary oocyte will continue meiosis 1 to form secondary oocyte and first polar body. Okay, betul. And then secondary oocyte will begin meiosis 2, but held at the metaphase 2. Maksudnya kat sini, awak tengok Yang sini meiosis 1. Okay, kat sini meiosis 2. So, secondary oocyte ni dan juga first polar body, dia akan buat meiosis 2. Okay, kat sini kan dia buat meiosis 1 kan? Mesti kena buat meiosis 2 juga. So, bila secondary oocyte dengan first polar body is produced, these two thing, it will undergo meiosis 2. Okay, so bila first polar body dia alami meiosis 2, dia akan jadi polar body and finally dia die. Dia tak digunakan. Okay, tapi kalau secondary oocyte ni bila dia buat meiosis, meiosis dia tu incomplete. Meiosis dia incomplete. Sebab apa? Dia berhenti dekat dia berhenti kat metaphase 2. Kan kalau meiosis 2 maksudnya dia ada prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2 and telophase 2. Tapi uniknya dekat sini secondary oocyte ni dia akan buat meiosis, tapi meiosis dia tu will end at the metaphase 2. Okay, the first polar body will complete meiosis 2 to form 2 second polar body. Ni 2 second polar body. Patut tengok a layer of follicle cell envelope, okay, the secondary oocyte which is called secondary follicle. So yang ni primary follicle, dia akan develop into secondary follicle. A mature Graafian follicle will approach the surface of ovary and release secondary oocyte in fallopian tube. Dia akan keluarkan, and this process is called ovulation. Tengok macam tadi cikgu cerita, secondary oocyte ni dia akan mengalami meiosis 2, right? Tapi meiosis 2 dia incomplete. Why? Because it stop at metaphase 2. Tapi dia akan completekan meiosis 2 bila kat mana? Bila adanya sperm. Tengok ni. Secondary oocyte will complete meiosis 2 once the sperm penetrate it. Bila sperm combine dengan ovum ataupun secondary oocyte, barulah dia akan completekan meiosis 2. So meiosis 2 will produce ovum and first polar body. Okay, so maksudnya kat sini bila sperm ni dia penetrate ovum, okay, polar body tu dia akan matilah. Okay. Fertilization take place when the sperm nucleus fuse with the ovum nucleus to produce diploid zygote. Sebab apa? Sperm N. And then ovum pun N. So N campur N, 2N. So 2N kita namakan sebagai diploid lah. Diploid zygote. Sebab tu ada 2N kat sini. And the rest of polar body will die and will disintegrated by the ovary. So polar body ni tak diperlukan pun kat sini. Lepas tu apa jadi? Ya Allah. Carpus luteum will continue and secrete estrogen and progesterone. Ni awak tengok ni. Tadi dia jadi primary follicle, lepas tu secondary follicle, lepas tu Graafian follicle. Lepas dia release secondary oocyte, dia akan jadi carpus luteum. Carpus luteum pentingnya kat sini adalah untuk release 2 jenis hormon. Hormon yang pertama adalah ni, estrogen. Yang kedua adalah progesterone. Apa fungsi dua ni? Nanti kita belajar. And then carpus luteum and secondary oocyte degenerate and die and remove through menstruation. So maksudnya kalau contohlah tak ada penetration of sperm kan, penetration between sperm and ovum, okay, secondary oocyte dan juga carpus luteum ni akan mati dan akan dikeluarkan melalui menstruation. Menstruation kan keluar darah kan, so maksudnya dia akan keluar melalui darah tu sekali. Okay. So this is how it looks like. Tengok ni. Primary follicle. Dalam primary follicle ni lah ada primary oocyte. And then primary follicle tu develop into secondary oocyte. Apa aku cakap ni? Primary follicle dia akan develop into secondary follicle. Dia membesar. Lepas tu dia jadi apa? Graafian follicle. Lepas tu Graafian follicle tu akan keluarkan secondary oocyte. So bila Graafian follicle keluarkan secondary oocyte, kita namakan dia sebagai corpus luteum. Corpus luteum ni penting untuk apa? Untuk menghasilkan dua jenis hormon iaitu estrogen and progesterone. Okay, for those who don't know, estrogen fungsi dia adalah untuk repair endometrium wall. Manakala progesteron fungsinya adalah untuk maintain the thickness of uterus wall. Okay. Kenapa kena maintain? Kenapa kena strong? Sebab in order to prepare, okay, if there is fertilization happen, bila ada fertilization, mestilah ada baby, adapun fetus. So fetus ataupun zygote tu, dia akan melekat dekat uterus wall. Sebab tu uterus wall tu kena kuat. Kalau uterus wall tu nak kuat, kena ada hormon estrogen and progesterone. Apa aku cakap ni? Sorry. So, kenapa, cikgu ulang sekali lagi kenapa corpus luteum ni kena hasilkan dua jenis hormon ni, iaitu estrogen and progesterone? Sebab estrogen dan progesterone ni fungsinya adalah untuk mengekalkan ketebalan dinding uterus. Kenapa dinding uterus kena tebal? Sebab kalau ada baby tu kena menampal ataupun will be implanted inside uterus. Sebab tu uterus kena kuat. Nak kuatkan uterus kena ada dua jenis hormon which are estrogen and progesterone. Ya Allah, sasul je guna sebut. Sebab panjang sangat benda ni. Okay, if you don't understand, please repeat this video sampai awak faham. Boleh? Okay, next. Okay, we are going to study the difference between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Okay. Okay guys, so let's continue. Okay, the next one, before we go to the differences or comparison between spermatogenesis and oogenesis, okay, that is an info, okay, about the structure of sperm and Graafian follicle. Okay, so sperm, as you can see here, it has three main parts, which are, it has head, midpiece, and the last one, tail. Okay, the head, okay, contain nucleus, where the midpiece is packed with mitochondria, which will generate energy for the sperm to swim towards fallopian tube for fertilization. And the tail is used for swimming. Okay, the next one is Graafian follicle. This is Graafian follicle looks like. Remember, the first stage is primary follicle, and then it will grow into secondary follicle, and the last one it will go to the Graafian follicle. Okay, so apa ni? A secondary oocyte is a large cell that is surrounded by a gel-like substance and follicular cell. Okay, so this secondary oocyte and follicular cell will form Graafian follicle. So the whole thing here is Graafian follicle. Inside Graafian follicle, you can find secondary oocyte. Okay, so Graafian follicle ni, when it release secondary oocyte, it will become corpus luteum. Okay. Okay guys, so the next one, this is the comparison between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Okay, kita tengok dulu similarity dia. So similarity, ingat you have to begin, okay, your words with the word both. Both are the process of gametogenesis that take place in reproductive organ. Okay, specifically yang ni spermatogenesis ni dia berlaku dekat testis, yang ni berlaku dekat ovari. Tapi in general we call them as a reproductive organ. Lepas tu both produce gametes that are haploid. Dia akan menghasilkan gamet. Okey, itu persamaan. Okay, perbezaan dia pertama, yang spermatogenesis take place in testis. Yang ni in ovary. Okay, yang ni spermatogonium, okay, will produce 4 sperm after meiosis. Dia akan hasilkan 4 sperm. Okay, mana kita tengok sini. Ni 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, maksudnya inilah dia akan hasilkan 4 sperm. Tapi kalau oogonium ni, dia akan hasilkan 1 secondary oocyte and 3 non-functioning polar body after meiosis. So, tengok kat sini ya. Okay, ni oogonium. Dia akan hasilkan 1 secondary oocyte. Ni secondary oocyte ni ataupun ovum. Tapi dia akan hasilkan 3 polar body, non-functioning, tidak berfungsi. 1, 2, 3. Yang ni adalah ovum ataupun secondary oocyte. Ingat secondary oocyte dengan ovum benda yang sama. Kau boleh guna either term. Lepas tu apa? Sperms are smaller that made up of mid piece, head and tail. While secondary oocyte ataupun ovum are large and spherical in shape. Macam cikgu cakap tadi, secondary oocyte dengan ovum benda yang sama. Awak boleh guna either terms. Okay. And then ni, after meiosis 1, 2 secondary spermatocyte are produced. Kalau yang ni, after meiosis 1, 1 secondary oocyte and 1 polar body is produced. Remember, okay. Yang ni, meiosis is completed. Dia tak perlu tunggu. Tapi kalau oogenesis ni, meiosis tu is completed when a sperm fertilized with secondary oocyte. Okay. Yang ni spermatid undergo differentiation to become sperm. Ni awak ingat lagi tak ni? Ni spermatid ni dia akan undergo cell differentiation to form sperm. Tapi kalau secondary oocyte, it does not undergo differentiation. Ni lepas tu, the production of sperm is continuous from puberty until old age. Maksudnya daripada awak akhir balik sampai awak tua, lelaki, okay, spermatogenesis can always happen. Okay, tak ada masalah. Tetapi oogenesis ni, awak tengok, the production of secondary oocyte is not continuous. It start when the female fetus, okay, but it will remain dormant. Ingat oogenesis ni dia start awal lagi. Yang mana bila baby tu dalam perut mak dia lagi, oogenesis tu dah berlaku. Okay, but the secondary oocyte is dormant. Ingat dormant ni dia inactive when the baby is born. Okay, the process continue once the female reach puberty and stop during menopause. Maksudnya oogenesis ni dia akan bermula waktu baby tu berada dalam perut mak dia, dan dia akan terus develop sampailah puberty, dan dia akan stop during menopause. Menopause tu sebab itulah menopause ni sebagai contoh orang-orang tua, perempuan-perempuan tua. Dia ada mengalami haid tak? Tak ada kan? Dia boleh mengandung tak? Tak boleh. Sebab apa? Dia menopause. Maksudnya ovum ataupun secondary oocyte are no longer produced. Okay, and then million of sperm are formed every day. Maksudnya sperm ni boleh dihasilkan every single day, but do not waste it. Okay. Tapi kalau oogenesis ni, it will occur only one secondary oocyte is released from the ovary at every menstrual cycle. Usually female will undergo menstruation once in a month. So maksudnya only one secondary oocyte will be released. Tetapi untuk lelaki, million of sperm will be formed every day. Boleh faham? Okay guys, so let's continue with the next one. Okay, the next one, I want to teach you about the formation of twins. Okay. So twins ni dia ada dua jenis. Okay, the first one is identical twins. Awak tengok ni, dia bukan sama, copy paste. Tapi yang kedua adalah fraternal twins. Okay, fraternal twins, iaitu kembar tidak seiras. How this happen? Okay, kita pergi kepada identical twins dulu. Awak tengok ya. Okay. So yang ni, it happen when one sperm fertilize with one ovum. Ingat ni sperm ni. Ini ovum. So untuk menghasilkan identical twins, you should have one sperm, one ovum. So this one, it will form one zygote. Okay, I repeat again, one sperm fertilized with one ovum. So it will produce one zygote. One zygote, it will develop into one embryo. Bila dia sampai embryo itulah dia akan pecah dua. Okay, this embryo will divide into two. Ingat mula-mula sperm ovum, lepas tu zygote. Lepas zygote dia akan grow into embryo. Dekat embryo itulah dia akan membahagi equally. it will divide equally. Kena ada perkataan equally, okay? Tambah sikit perkataan equally, secara sama rata. So it will produce two embryo. So awak tengok kat sini ni ada embryo ni akan develop into fetus. Ni fetus lah ni. Kita panggil dia baby bila dia dah keluar. Dalam perut mak dia kita tak panggil baby, kita panggil dia sebagai fetus. Okay, so apa uniknya identical twins ni? They actually share one placenta. Placenta tu apa cikgu? Placenta is a mother blood system. Why placenta is important? Because placenta is a medium to transfer nutrient, oxygen to whom? To the fetus. Ingat kalau identical twins, they share the same placenta. Tapi kalau fraternal twins, ni dia ada its own placenta. Dia ada placenta dia tersendiri. Sebab apa? Awak tengok kat sini. Okay, kalau fraternal twins, it will produce when two sperm, okay, will fertilize with two ovum ataupun two ova. Ova ni adalah plural untuk ovum. Okay, two sperm akan fertilize with two ovum. Cikgu, is that possible? Yes. Sebab kita tahu perempuan ni dia ada dua ovari. There is a chance for the two ovary will produce two ovum at the same time. Ataupun one ovary tu dia akan hasilkan dua ovum at the same time. Sperm tak ada masalah sebab apa? Sperm ni it will be produced in million number. So tak ada masalah. Ovum je yang kat sini ada masalah. Kadang-kadang ovum tu akan hasilkan satu ovum. Kadang-kadang satu ovari akan hasilkan dua ovum. Kadang-kadang dia akan hasilkan satu ovum. Tengok daripada situation kat situ. So apa terjadi adalah two zygote will be produced. Bila two zygote will be produced, it means two embryo will be produced. So that's why each embryo will have their own placenta. Dia akan connected to their own placenta. Sebab itulah jantina dia tak sama. Sebab apa? Mungkin ovum dengan sperm yang pertama hasilkan lelaki. Yang sperm dengan ovum yang kedua mungkin akan hasilkan perempuan. Tapi kalau identical twins mesti sama. Sebab apa? Jantina dia mesti sama. Semua mesti sama. Sebab apa? They come from the same sperm and same ovum. Boleh faham? Okay, seterusnya awak tengok. Differences between identical and fraternal twins. Perbezaan dia. Okay, perbezaan yang pertama adalah awak tengok product of fertilization of one ovum and one sperm to form one zygote. Ni cikgu emphasize one zygote. Tapi kalau fraternal twins, okay, they involve two sperm and two ova to produce two zygote. Okay, boleh faham? Okay, kalau identical twins, embryo will divide into two. Ni embryo. Embryo tu akan divide. Tapi kalau fraternal, embryo does not divide. Buat apa nak divide? Sebab ada dua kan. Lepas tu, one placenta is shared between two fetus. Yang ni, each fetus has its own placenta. So, dia tak kongsi. Okay. And then, kalau identical twins, the genetic makeup and physical appearance of twins are similar as they are from the same zygote. Okay, and then this one different lah. Sebab apa? From different sperm and ovum. Yang ni the sex of both twins is the same. Kalau lelaki dua-dua. Kalau perempuan dua-dua. Kalau sajak dua-dua. Tak adalah gurau je. Kalau fraternal, dia sex of both twin may be the same or different. Depend lah. Dia boleh jadi sama, boleh jadi tidak sama. Okay. The last one is ni. Tengok. Development of joint twins ataupun dikenali sebagai kembar siam. Dulu term kita gunakan sebagai kembar siam. Tapi silibus KSSM kita namakan dia sebagai conjoined twins. Okay, tengok Conjoined twins develop when there is a incomplete division of embryo in identical twins. Ingat conjoined twins ni dia berlaku kepada identical twins saja. Dekat fraternal twin tak berlaku. Sebab apa? It involve division of embryo. Sebab tu cikgu cakap, division of embryo should be equal. Secara sama rata. Kalau tak sama rata, dia akan melekat. Sebab itulah dia join. Dia melekat. Boleh faham? Although two fetus are formed from the embryo, some of their physical part are still fused together. Usually chest, abdomen and buttocks. Buttocks ni punggung lah. And conjoined twins may also share one or two internal organ. Ini bahaya. Bila dia share internal organ yang important, for example, heart, lung and so on. So bila kita nak separate dia, organ tu ada kemungkinan akan rosak. So bila organ rosak, matilah dia. Tapi kalau organ-organ yang tak berapa not the main organ, sebagai contoh tangan. Awak boleh hidup tak tanpa tangan? Boleh hidup kan? Contohnya kalau jantung, awak boleh hidup tak tanpa jantung? Tak boleh. Kalau dia share jantung, matilah dia. Seorang akan mati. Tapi kalau contoh dia share tangan, bila kita potong, so dua-dua boleh hidup. Sebab apa? They do not share the main organ. Okay. The life of conjoined twins may be difficult as they must always be together. Nak pergi tandas pun susah. Macam itulah. They also do not have any time alone. Dia tak ada privacy. Their movement are limited due to their physical state. Most jointed twin die before they are born or have short lifespan. They may be able to be separated through surgery. However, the success of surgery depend on the joint part. Awak tengok kat mana dia melekat tu. Kalau dia melekat dekat jantung, boleh matilah sebab bila kita operate jantung mungkin akan mati. Bila jantung mati, dua-dua matilah. Kalau dia melekat dekat tangan, tak masalah sebab tangan ni awak boleh hidup. And what internal organs are shared between them. Okay, boleh faham? Okay guys, so I think that's all for today. So if you don't understand, please rewatch this video until you understand. Okay, if you have any question, please ask me. Okay, do not forget to write down your name and your class at the end section of the class, on the comment section, and please attach the question. One student, one question. Okay, similar activity like before. Okay guys, so that's all for today. So I see you on the next class. Bye bye.